Hey Fox, and unless you haven't passed first grade, you can read the title and see that today's topic is about Danganronpa F Shattered Hope. If you've been waiting like I've had, you know that the next batch of episodes will start this Saturday, October 24th at 6 p.m. British Summertime, or for you Pacific Time Zone, 10 a.m. This video will go over the prologue and first two episodes and recap over anything that may seem important. This will also refresh ideas into your mind if you've forgotten what's happened so far. And without further ado, let's get started, shall we? Get out of your intro, we don't got time for you. Now, what is Danganronpa F Shattered Hope? Do I have to say the F? I'm not going to say it. Danganronpa Shattered Hope, as you already know, is a Danganronpa created by Crosspaw Games and Moriteru. The project has got the whole shebang, a full team of artists, composers, and voice actors. You can check out who's done what here. I just gotta say, the art is clean, the music is clean, the voice acting, clean. Now while I could go on to how amazing the project is, I think it's time we jump into the story and refresh on what's been going on. We jump into the prologue, and the first thing we're introduced to is a broadcast that's being broadcasted on the Broadcast Network. Short story short, the news covers a case where it appears the victim has been brutally murdered. At this point we have no idea what this can mean, but it's obvious this would become extremely important to the plot later on in the story. While I do have a small theory, it's best this plays out before I go off the wrong track. Next we're introduced to the protagonist of the series, whom we don't know the name of. In fact, he doesn't even know what his own name is. This indicates memory loss, quite worse than in the original games, as he actually lacks any memories whatsoever. While looking around the room for a bit to get an idea of the situation, a mysterious Saw-like voice gives strange instructions to our hero to participate in a sacrifice game. To shorten it up, the voice seemingly asks the protagonist, sacrifice your loved one or sacrifice yourself. This may not be an accurate translation, but at this moment, it's what seems most logical. To no one's surprise, our protagonist chooses the latter, and after a minute or two decides to finally exit his room, where he is met with 13 other colorful, unique personalities. At this time, we don't get much info on any of them other than their attitudes, which seem as bright as day even with the few lines they say. The only useful info given was that all of them chose the same option as our protagonist, which was to sacrifice themselves. Although I'm a bit skeptical about this information, as someone could have lied, cause we all know what'll happen if you do sacrifice your loved one. Very suspicious announcement tells everyone to gather in the gymnasium. Oh, how I wonder how this will turn out. As they arrive in the gym, more banter happens, and surprise, surprise, Monokuma shows up, claiming to be the headmaster of the Academy of Ultimate Confinement, announcing the killing game, rules, blah 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 blah. It is here where we receive our first huge clues. First, the location of the school. Monokuma shows the students that they reside somewhere in what seems to be the Antarctic, indicating that they are indeed isolated from the rest of the world. Second, probably one of the biggest clues. That's right, someone who knows about Monokuma. This sparks a whole conversation and many different theories on what's going on. Here's what I got based on what I've seen. Because they know Monokuma said as they were threatening them, show your true self and stop this game, it's safe to assume that this isn't the first killing game. It also seems the character doesn't immediately recognize Monokuma when they saw him, rather, they realized when the name was mentioned. This could mean that the person has only heard about Monokuma in the killing game rather than have watched it themselves. During this event, Monokuma shows his power of execution by almost killing one of the participants, but thanks to several people, this death was avoided. The participants then read the rules and move on with their lives and start investigating the campus. The video fades out and we are introduced to a new character who will probably be taking over the reins of Monokuma. Prologue then ends there. All in all, not too much information is gathered. We do get some key points, but nothing game breaking as of yet. That is, until episode 1. Chapter 1, episode 1 starts, and we are given another huge clue on the matter. Two people are seen outside the school grounds in the middle of the Arctic. It's seemingly obvious that this is where a group of participants are located, and the two people are most likely part of a huge organization that's trapped them here, or we'd assume. It's clear that these two have a hand in setting up the killing game. The odd thing is that the younger fellow mentions others, while the older fellow mentions that the others are anxious to be brought over. In this sense, this seems similar to V3 where, spoilers, the participants wanted to participate in the killing game of their own free will. One problem is that we don't know whether this conversation happened before, during or after our current situation. There are other things that I want to mention, but it's best we don't dwell too much on this and just move on. As the video continues, we finally know our protagonist's name, Enigma. However, this isn't his actual name, as Monokuma decided to give everyone code names instead. Enigma reveals that he is the series' ultimate question mark. Nothing related to Enigma's past is mentioned except for one line. I'll get to be with her again. I hopefully assume this isn't who I think it is. Maybe Enigma has a pet dog or something. Jokes aside, despite Enigma... Well, I can't say Enigma... Jokes aside, despite Enigma having the worst of the amnesia, it's odd how during the sacrifice game, he didn't decide to write anything down. Usually in those scenarios, if Enigma did have complete amnesia, he would probably mention that he doesn't know anyone that fits along his loved one. But it seems that he does know someone. Just an outside to point out, it's probably nothing too big. Don't dwell too much on it. Definitely nothing suspicious about it at all. Yep. This episode and next, we are then introduced to the rest of the characters, as well as their codenames and talents and some of their story. We are first introduced to the snotty yet probably most normal person here, Cancel, the ultimate diviner, whatever. Basically, she can predict some sort of future. I don't know too much about these kinds of professions. She just tarot cards, palm reading, that sort of stuff. Might come in handy, but with her attitude, she's probably going to hate everyone here. And apparently, Cancel is Enigma's type. Can't relate, but alright. Next up is Yaxi, the ultimate boxer. Her perfect attitude and addiction to round butts makes her a lovable character with a somewhat decent personality. I say somewhat because she does spot a competitive side, making her quite prone to several inconveniences in the future. One thing that stands out above the rest, and this may as well be considered a huge clue, is that Enigma doesn't recognize her. Enigma mentions that he is a fan of boxing but has never seen Yaxi before, nor heard of her nickname, the Iron Maiden. This information can entail that Enigma's amnesia hits harder than expected, or Yaxi doesn't actually exist in the boxing world. Either way, this clue would eventually become important in the later stages of the game. Up next, we are introduced to Grisp, the ultimate survivalist. Not exactly Bear Grylls, more rather an actual bear himself. Grisp actually survived mostly in the wilderness, becoming one with nature, or whatever the saying goes. He is rather biased against people raised in the cities, so basically everyone here. Because he spends most of his time in the wilderness, he's probably going to be oblivious to many things being said, so I write him off as useless during trials, but useful during investigations, as he might track down some evidence. One thing that's off about Gris is that when he was conversing with Enigma, he briefly talked to himself. Enigma picked up on this and thinks he's insane. Well, Enigma thinks everyone here is insane, but as to why Gris talks to himself, as if he's speaking to a voice in his head, well, only time can tell. Enigma then meets up with a posh-looking fellow, Cross, the ultimate entrepreneur. That's hard to say. Cross seems to be a smart fellow as he continuously asks questions about the current situation, as well as coming to the conclusion that the academy they were staying at had the participants in mind. The biggest clue being that the rooms perfectly accommodate each student. Cross probably realizes that the mastermind has planned this killing game for a while. We can expect Cross to provide useful help in the future. Next up, we got the mastermind, Scarlet, the ultimate toxicologist. Wait, mastermind? That can't be right. Oh, she was just joking. Haha, I'm laughing so much. Scarlet has a very interesting personality. This is obvious through the few interactions Enigma has had with her. She does seem very calm enough to be quite... How do you explain someone like Scarlet? Like, I've never met someone in real life who's like this. Virgin power, by the way. What's the word? Oh yeah, thought. Scarlet is a toxicologist, meaning she deals with toxic players on toxins and poisons, hopefully not related to territory in any way. She says she specializes in treating them. I kinda have my doubts. She mentions that she had headaches ever since waking up, which seems to be the case with everyone. This would enhance the idea of memory loss and amnesia even further. On to our wonderful next character, Morai Teru, the ultimate visual effects artist. Morai Teru, the ultimate visual effects artist. She spots a cocky yet lazy attitude, akin to being that person who doesn't do their homework, asked to copy someone else's homework, and then eating their copy. Not much mention about her past, just giving an idea to her roller coaster of emotions. Like, seriously, the next thing you know, Morai Teru will be switching accents as well. Please don't. We next run into quite one of my favorite characters, and you can't change my mind. Pocket, the ultimate baseball star. Pocket is an open book when it comes to emotions. Fear, anger, lust, pride, it's all easy to see. Even Enigma has a fun time messing around with him. Very comedic to the audience, SS plus tier character, nothing suspicious, 100% will survive, definitely not biased. But if we're being serious though, he mentions how famous he is, or was in this case, yet Enigma doesn't recognize him either, similar to Yaxi's case. And Enigma realizes that. Once it may have been coincidence, but twice, Enigma is starting to figure something out. We then come across Korza, the ultimate game designer, the most sensible and logical person here, which was demonstrated during the gym assembly when he pointed out Monokuma's spear and the rules and essentially saved a life. Korza quickly goes on to point out the mysteries of the academy and questions the mysterious door, as well as other mysteries. Korza claims that when he saw his talent, he doesn't remember anything related to it. This brings up an interesting, huge clue. According to Enigma, everyone he's met remembered their talent upon looking at it, except for him and Korza. It's safe to assume Korza would prove to be vital in the future for the sake of plot, I guess. Walking around for a bit, Enigma runs into Rock, the ultimate geologist. Rock is...
So, what's a chalkboard's favorite drink? Huh? Hot chocolate?
Moving on, we can come across a body discovery announcement. Wait, what?
I have crippling depression.
Moving on again, we meet the mystery lady, Rox, the ultimate journalist. Not gonna lie, I ship it. If you don't remember, Rox is the one who knew about Monokuma and tried doing something about it, but I also find her situation a little peculiar. I mentioned before that none of them should really have any memories because they start remembering things after looking at their student profile. However, Rox was able to remember Monokuma before reading her profile. And I have a small theory on that matter. Remember the sacrifice game where you had to choose between sacrificing a loved one or yourself? Well, what happens if you sacrifice a loved one? The voice mentions that you're safe to be guaranteed with this option, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're opted out of the killer game, right? Well, what if Rox did choose that option and was given some of her memories or was shown a video or whatever it may be, a price for sacrificing their loved one? Whatever it may be, this is all completely wrong, but it doesn't dismiss the fact that Rox is suspicious. We are then finally introduced to the last two students of what we have so far. Twin, the ultimate voice actor, and Rissy, the ultimate dentist. Once again, not gonna lie, kinda ship it. Not really. And once again, if you don't remember, these were the two involved in the incident at the gymnasium. Twin was able to save Rissy from the spear. This event is important to remember, by the way. Make sure to save it to your database because it may prove to be useful information in the future. Twin is a chicken sandwich and most likely what Kant will describe as an idiot. A hungry idiot. Sounds like me. I'm not hungry. And Rissy seems to be a normal person. I hope they stay normal. She's quite polite and punctual and will probably remain buddies with Twin for a while. Nothing too noteworthy during their exchange other than the fact that they point out that there's no food around. Well, there is one more student they are not introduced yet, and will probably remain that way for a while. We'll just have to find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. The episode then ends with what seems to be the new mascot preparing something for the students. We can assume that they are about to introduce the first motive. That just about does it for this recap. Not too much information given with these first few episodes, but as more episodes are pumped out, we'll get a generalized idea about the situation. And hopefully my brain will work fine enough to notice what's going on and report back to you guys. That does it for this video. Thanks for watching. Make sure to watch the first 3 episodes before Saturday, whether it's your first, second, or 6th time watching it. Hope you'll enjoy the series. It's quite amazing. Can't wait for what the team has in store for us. And hopefully, I'll see you guys later. With that said, I bid you duds farewell.